Hey there, it's Jeff Johnson. Thanks for taking a few minutes to watch this video. First and foremost, let me start with a huge apology. When we last talked, it was Memorial Day, May 28th, 2018. Yes, last year. My last video was interrupted at the end by a FaceTime call from my family, and well, I just never made another video until now. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to try to catch you up on the past almost 9 months. And don't panic though, I'm only going to hit the highlights and the lowlights. This may or may not sound like a video version of Dear Diary. We'll see what happens. I mentioned in the last video that I had a severe allergic reaction to the Erbitux immunotherapy. For many years, I've been allergic to pork in addition to some other foods, and these allergies cause symptoms that we originally thought were irritable bowel syndrome, and that's about as enjoyable as it sounds. It turns out that I just have contact allergies to pork, eggs, carrots, and some strains of wheat. So the whole eggs, bacon, biscuits, and gravy with a V8 chaser for breakfast is out, and so is Erbitux because it has a pork protein in it. Now, the pharmacist was, quote, relatively certain, unquote, that if I had a reaction to the medication, it would be mild. The pharmacist was mistaken. Oh well, the good news is it obviously didn't kill me. It took several weeks for that rash to clear up, and if you're dealing with the normal side effects of Erbitux, I want to mention a product that might help you. It's called Germolene. That's Germolene. I could only find it on eBay and Amazon from sellers in the UK or from those in the US who had imported it here. It's an antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, and anti-itch cream. It works really well, much better than the prescription medication they were giving me. The itching and pain went away within a couple of weeks, and the rash was completely gone after about 4 to 6 weeks. On June 1st of 2018, I started having my first bouts of nausea from the radiation and cisplatin chemotherapy. This was largely because I had radiation treatments, plural, numbers 12 and 13, on the same day. Monday, May 28th was Memorial Day, so I didn't have radiation that day. They want you to stay on schedule, so they have you do a double with the treatments at least 6 hours apart. I had done this before and thought it wasn't that big of a deal. I was wrong. Thankfully, that was the last 2 a day that they scheduled for me, but it took its toll. This was the beginning of what I would soon learn would be the downhill slide for my health. It was more like a downhill tumble off of Mount Kilimanjaro by my stunt double who missed his starting mark and his landing and all of the soft spots in between. The doctors at MD Anderson started me on pain medication and reassured me that, quote, we have an almost never-ending supply of better, stronger ways to address your pain, unquote. Was that going to come in handy later? And if you'll forgive me for just a moment, I'm going to take a quick drink. I'll talk about the dry mouth in a minute. Forgive me. As June progressed, it quickly became impossible for me to eat. June 2018. On June 5th, the doctors told me that I needed to mentally prepare myself to have a feeding tube, whether I wanted it or not. By June 8th, the side effects of the cisplatin had started to kick in. The first thing I noticed was ringing in my ears. It's been fairly constant ever since then. I'm hearing it right now. There are no sounds in this room right now other than my voice, but what I'm hearing is my voice and sometimes it's a really loud noise, sometimes I can barely hear it, but it's always there. On June 12th, they examined the damage that the radiation had done to my mouth, tongue, and throat and doubled my pain medication. Now, this is one of the most important things that they told me at MD Anderson, and I want to pass this on. If you are experiencing real physical pain, you cannot become psychologically addicted to pain medication. Now, I was terrified of taking narcotic pain medication. I was so afraid of becoming addicted. But the doctor said there was statistically zero risk of that for me because I was experiencing so much very real physical pain. So I took what they prescribed as they prescribed it, and it helped. But it didn't help enough for me to be able to eat regularly. On June 11th, the pain got so bad in my mouth that I couldn't keep my mouthpiece in for the radiation mask. They had to sedate me to give me that day's radiation treatment. On June 15th, a little more than 2/3 of the way through treatment, I had a feeding tube inserted. It's an outpatient surgery, but they do knock you out. Two of my lifelong best friends from Arkansas, one of whom now lives in Kentucky, drove down to babysit me until my family could get there. Truthfully, they really just wanted to interrogate me while I was coming out from under the anesthesia. I hope my answers made them laugh as much as their questions made me laugh. I'm mostly kidding about that. As time went by, even with the feeding tube in place, I was not getting enough nutrition or hydration. Just about everything we tried to put in the tube made me nauseous. I also had more trouble with the radiation mask mouthpiece. Just about the time I finished my last chemo on June 20th, one of the nurse practitioners just happened to mention this medication called hurricane spray. That's Hurricaine, like Novocaine, hurricane spray. It's made by Butelic Pharmaceuticals. At least I hope it's pronounced Butelic, because otherwise it's a really embarrassing name for a company. But anyway, I was able to use this spray to make it through the last 7 radiation treatments without gagging on the mouthpiece or having to be sedated. By June 22nd, I'd lost 31 pounds. Considering the fact that I was nearly 50 pounds overweight, that sounds like it would be a good thing. Considering my inability to take in any nutrition or hydration by this time, and that was the cause of the weight loss, it wasn't a good thing. On June 25th, I ended up in the emergency room at MD Anderson, mostly for dehydration, but also because I wasn't getting any nutrients and had a magnesium deficiency. What started out as dropping by for a bag of fluids quickly developed into we're going to keep you overnight for observation, and that expanded into a 3-night hospital stay. The upside to that was that the dehydration was addressed. I got all of my radiation treatments on schedule because all they had to do was wheel me downstairs, and they finally found a formula for the feeding tube that didn't make me sick to my stomach. On June 29th, my wife joined me for the ringing of the bell, something cancer patients do when they finish their treatments. The biggest surprise that day, though it probably shouldn't have been a surprise, was that 2 of my coworkers who have become 2 of my closest friends, Rhonda Scobie and John Moore, also drove to Houston to be there for the bell ring. They helped Elisa pack up the apartment and bring me home, and it's a good thing, too, because by that time I was physically useless. June 29th was the end of 33 radiation treatments, 5 chemotherapy treatments, and 2 immunotherapy treatments, and 1 allergic reaction. But it was far from the end of my ordeal. I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this because this is already way too long. I continued to lose weight until I finally dropped 1/4 of my pre-treatment body weight. I also got dehydrated again and again and had to go to my local MD Anderson Partner Cancer Center for bags of IV fluid several times. It's very frustrating to continue to not have the energy or the ability to take in enough nutrition and hydration through the tube. Eventually, though, I was able to sip water again and then to drink water, and that's when I started getting better. Now, food is still an issue. As I record this on February 18th, 2019, I'm only able to eat soft foods like vegetable soup, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, pudding, ice cream, things like that. My weight has stabilized right at about 190 pounds, nearly 60 pounds below where I was when I started treatment. But I've gotten used to there being less of me. Some of my clothes don't fit so well anymore. I have a mostly new wardrobe. I still have the feeding tube and will have it for at least another month, maybe longer. I can theoretically get my minimum calories now by drinking 6 high-calorie protein shakes a day. But that's not how they want me to get those calories. The challenge is that I have developed a pocket in my throat from where the healthy tissue pulled away from the radiation. Sometimes food gets caught there, and when it does, it feels like I'm choking to death, even though they assure me that I'm not. I've actually seen a video, a modified barium swallow of the food getting caught there. It's nowhere near the windpipe. It's not blocking anything. It just feels like I'm choking. It's going to take time and practice to get to the point where I can force myself to push through that sensation and swallow the food that's caught there. But I'm getting there. The best news is that at both my 3-month and 6-month follow-up exams, both the blood work and the CT scans indicated NED, no evidence of disease. That is the best that a throat cancer patient can hope for this soon after the end of treatment. They normally don't use the word cured until you've been NED for 5 years. As of today, I'm dealing with several side effects from the radiation and chemotherapy. extreme dry mouth that makes it difficult to eat and sleep or talk for an extended period of time without drinking, ringing in my ears, and some hearing loss as well, pain and tingling in my fingertips and the bottoms of my feet. That's called peripheral neuropathy. Say that 10 times really fast. Pain and tightness in my throat. The pain is really only when I'm gagging, and it's minor compared to what it was before. I no longer have to take any pain medication, narcotic pain medication or over-the-counter pain medication. I was able to end the narcotic pain medication on my own and felt very good about that. I deal with extreme fatigue. I have zero energy. As a result, I also have very little strength. I am getting the minimum calories and protein that I'm supposed to take in to maintain my weight, but that's all. So it's difficult to exercise, and no muscle mass means no strength. And occasionally memory loss from the chemotherapy. They call it chemo brain. I call it sucky. I promise I do know your name. It's right there. I just can't pull that file folder open to access it right now. All in all, these are annoyances and inconveniences compared to where I could be. I know that many of the people who watch my videos are also cancer patients, and that your side effects are much worse than what I'm dealing with. Please know that I'm praying for you, even if I don't know or can't remember your name. I'm very blessed to be alive. I'm very blessed to be on the road to recovery. And I'm very blessed to have so many people who have watched these videos and commented and liked and subscribed. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Please share this channel with anyone you know who's going through throat cancer. Sprinkled throughout these videos with my warped sense of humor and personal stuff that really doesn't matter to anybody but my family and close friends are a lot of little tips that I picked up along the way that can really make this journey easier to endure. Also, if you know of anyone who's looking for a motivational speaker, I'm going to start doing that again. I've been shot, stabbed, run over by a car, hit in the head with a brick. The brick broke in half, by the way. Ripped the side of my face off on a water slide. Almost died from kidney failure due to an allergic reaction to a medication. And now I've survived cancer. I'm obviously here for a reason. Maybe someone else will be inspired by everything I've been through. I would, however, suggest not standing next to me in a thunderstorm. I'll have another follow-up visit near the end of March, and I'll do my best to post another video then. Until then, thanks for watching, and God bless.